Are Canadian unions overstepping their original purpose? That is, to improve pay, benefits, and working conditions. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me. I'm Melanie Bennett with the Canadian Culture Wars Report. In September 2023, just days before the 1 Million March for Children, union executives and senior members gathered in an emergency Zoom call to organize in counter-protest against parental inclusion in education. Parents and citizens, many of whom had never protested before or participated in any kind of organized action, found their voices for the very first time speaking out against the far-left ideological subversion going on in our schools. So why were the unions having an absolute conniption about citizens engaging in their democratic rights? Well, it seems that unions have strayed far beyond their mandate by using numbers and influence to engage in far-left social engineering. They even seem to be willing to engage in rather questionable, even illegal activity to achieve their goals. But don't rely on what I'm saying. Let's have a listen to Anthony Marco, President of Ontario Labour Council in Hamilton, tell you in his own words.
You can hear me okay. I'm on an unfamiliar laptop at work here, so trying to make sure I can make this work. So as soon as we heard about the protest happening in Hamilton, we got together a group of people. We didn't really have necessarily a rapid response network. We had a bunch of groups that were certainly interested in working with each other. And over the past decade or so in Hamilton, what we've been mostly focusing on is community outreach and building relationships with community. So bringing the people together happened relatively quickly. We started up a Facebook chat group, which was quickly escalated over about 24 to 48 hours to 150 local activists and leaders, many of whom were coming on representing entire organizations. And so we got that built really quickly. We created a private Facebook group to try and get people on there. It was the easiest way to reach out to people, and we started to bring people in from external to Facebook as well. We've organized a planning meeting for the counter-protest on Monday evening at the Labour Council office so that we can get everybody's ideas in there. We do want to make sure that the key is that we are reducing risk as much as possible, that we are consolidating our message as much as possible, and that we are making sure that we're occupying the space not only where they are, but where they intend to be. So we have basically been told that they are going to be meeting in a parking lot of a local mall. I don't know if they're going to be doing a tailgate for an hour or whatever the heck they're doing, but then they're going to be marching over to the school board. So our plan is to be at the school board first, and we are going to occupy in front of the school board as much as we can. But we are also being very clear that we are not there defending the school board. The school board has its own issues with regards to systemic issues regarding trans students and trans families, to be honest with you. I know I've got 3 kids myself who are currently in the K-12 system who identify as trans. And I know as an employee of the school board that there are a lot of gaps there. And so we're making sure that we are saying we're going to occupy their space. There is no possible way that we could stop them from walking around us to get to the school board building, but that's not our responsibility. Our responsibility is to basically diffuse and to take control of the messaging and to make sure that if there is going to be the press there that day, it is going to be about positive messaging about people who are allies and making sure that there's an understanding that it's not just all negative. And our hope is that we're actually going to steal a couple of their tactics in that when they are gathering for their tailgate party in the mall parking lot, we've got a couple of seasoned activists who've already said that they're willing to go over and take some pictures of license plates and these are people who are willing to do this. They're people who are seasoned and make sure that they know that they're being watched, that they're not doing this in secret, that people are noticing what they're up to. But we're going to have a sign making event also on Monday evening. We're inviting people to the Labour Council. And we have said from step one, when this group was created, the Labour Council does not need, nor not necessarily does not want to be the voice of this. But if that's what people want, we will be there no matter what. So if there are other groups that wish to take on being the primary voice of this, and no one has stepped up yet to tell us no, most of the groups who have come on, even groups that are like, we've got groups like No Hate and the Hammer involved, and we've got a lot of anti-hate groups and anti-oppression groups that have come on. They are, I think, because of the possibility of some of the inherent risk that could be here, they're quite happy that the Labour Council is kind of taking the lead on this. We did take the lead a few years ago when Hamilton had some incidents at Pride. And, you know, a lot of our members were the face of what essentially became a Pride defense team when some people were marching on the park at that time. So we are trying to be as inclusive as possible, bringing as many voices together as possible. We are not sharing all of the details until at least the day before, because our biggest fear now is if we share the details of the counter protest, that they're going to try and pivot and move it somewhere else. We want to make sure that we have everyone lined up to where they can be there. I will say we got like 150 in this one group chat. We've got about 75 of them that migrated over to this private page, and many of them represent larger groups. We know that on a work day, it is going to be tough getting people to show up. There's a lot of people who are supportive, but trying to get people to show up. I'm hoping, and from what I've seen of some of these organizations in the past, even though they've got these cross-Canada events going on, that really dilutes their numbers in many cases. You know, oftentimes when they have an event, they'll draw in from like 4 or 5 different cities just to get 100 people at some places. So we're hoping that we are going to overwhelm their numbers. And we are hoping that even if they march 25 people to the front doors of the school board can handle that themselves. Ultimately, if the cameras are going to be there, we want them to be spending their time on the positive messaging. We want them to be spending their time on basically, this isn't a counter protest. This will be our rally. We want it to be our rally, not their rally. We want it to be our event, not their event. And if we have enough people there, that's what we're going to make it. So we're bringing together as many groups in Hamilton as possible, and we've been doing that for a long, long time now. And thankfully, our allies are making it, our allies for Labour and the Labour councils are making it really easy on us, because these are the same people who show up to strike lines, even though they're not in unions. These are the same people who show up whenever we call them out to help with anything that we do. They'll show up because we show up for them. I always say that one of the currency of activism is showing up, and that's what we do. That's what we do for them, and that's what they're planning on doing for us, and that's what we're all planning on doing to stop hate in our city and to stop hate across the country. So anybody who's on here from Hamilton, if you're not part of the chat or know where the group is, feel free to private message me in the chat here, and I can send you some of the details and the information for the meeting on Monday night. Thanks. Oh, the last thing I wanted to ask. Is it possible that the OFL or CLC could have a list of some legal support numbers from across Ontario? Even it doesn't have to be from Hamilton, but like if somebody for some reason gets picked up, it would be good that if they could have a 1-800 number that they could write on their arm or something like that, so that they know they've always got a lawyer that they can call. So that would be useful. I'm not saying it will happen. We're going to try and stop it from happening. But we have some seasoned activists who have been used to that in the past. And they wanted to make sure that we had that option if we had to.
Let me remind everyone that Galen Cramsey, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Union member and seasoned activist of the Antifa type, was in fact an attendee at this meeting. He was charged with assaulting a minor at the September 22, 2023 Billboard Chris protest in Scarborough, the very same meeting mentioned in this call. Coincidence? Seems unlikely to me.
I'm minor, bro. I'm a fucking minor. He fucking punched me at 16. He fucking punched me. I'm 16 years old and he fucking punched me, bro. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, you don't like it? Yeah, but we don't know what it is.
What's your name? I'm fucking pressing charges for punching a minor.
All right, folks. Thank you, sir. Just give him a little bit of privacy right now. Thank you. All right, just a little bit of privacy.
And guess who was also at that September protest? If it isn't our favorite agitator, Fred Hahn.
Okay, thanks so much. Thanks so much.
Fred, does QP stand shoulder to shoulder with Antifa?
It's weird when people ask me about Antifa because, like, do you think we're pro-fascist? That's weird. Okay, we're done.
So you do stand shoulder to shoulder with Antifa.
Well, would you expect us to be pro-fascist? Are you pro-fascist? Are you pro-fascist? Do you
No,
like the
no,
fascists?
no. Antifa is
They're anti-fascist.
a militant
you're
organization.
Either pro-fascist or you're anti-fascist.
So
you?
QP stands shoulder to shoulder with Antifa then. Do I have that right?
I know.
Have precedence over parents for decision making of kids?
Thanks for letting me
Should
know.
unions and teachers be able to make decisions for kids? Or should their parents?
It seems like Fred has a soft spot for violent far leftists, which some might refer to as seasoned activists, and who happen to be very effective at intimidating ordinary people. And what did Fred have to say about the assault?
Mr. Hun, question. I saw you on Friday, you know. Do you stand with black bloc tactics?
Oh my gosh, you know what? You are just so funny. We're here today to talk about the public healthcare system. Did you know that your parents and my parents built our community hospitals? Your parents and my parents pay taxes to those hospitals. We should be focusing today on how we save our fucking healthcare system, and that's what you
I have one more question. What are your union members? Galen assaulted a minor, a 16-year-old. Do you have any comment on the assault? You were standing side by side with them. Do you have any comment on the assault, sir?
So,
no comment.
You live in a rural area with no public transport.
Just a final thought from me. What exactly is the role of a labor union? Now, here's a list of what I understand that to be. Unions are there to represent workers and act as an intermediary between employees, between the employers, and advocating for the members' interests and rights. It's there to negotiate a collective bargaining agreement between all those parties. It's there to improve working conditions, like, for example, promoting a safe and healthy workplace, fair treatment and equal, not equitable opportunities. And it's also there to improve pay and benefits, such as a living wage, fair compensation, and benefits that support employees' well-being and quality of life. So with that in mind, does it sound like Anthony Marco is acting within the purview of a labor union? Let me know what you think. All right, that's it for me. I'll see you in the next one.